this is Ellen Voya with the Women in Trucking Association. And today I'm interviewing one of our new Image team members, Felicia Bergeron. Felicia, did I say that name right?
Yes, you did.
Good. So Felicia is a kind of relative newcomer to the industry. So Felicia, tell me, how did you get into the trucking industry and when?
Well, I came in December of 2012. I was previously in the medical field working 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet and still pay back student loans from 2 years of college I did. To promote, make more money, you have to go back to school to do that. And at that time, 3 jobs, barely had enough time to sleep as it was. There was no way I could go back to school. So I started looking for a different type of work to see something that would pay better, and opened the classifieds for the first time ever. And there was truck driving jobs needed everywhere. And I thought, well, hey, what better way to travel and see the country and get paid to do it? Because I've always wanted to do that. So I called the number and they took my application right there over the phone, and I started truck driving school that next Monday.
And that was about 3.5 years ago?
Yes, that was 3.
And what was the response from your family?
My dad was actually very supportive of it. My best friend back home said that I would be really good at it because my attention to detail. My mom knows that I love to drive. I've loved to drive since I got my license. And they were all very supportive of it. Of course, my brothers, thought it was the coolest thing ever. So,
Is anyone else in your family a professional driver?
No, I'm the only.
And tell us the company you drive for and what you like about them.
I drive for Werner Enterprise. I have been with them since I got out of truck driving school. I've not been with any other company. And I love the fact that it's diversified and that there's no, it doesn't matter what race, color, skin, gender, whatever, and that taken care of. As long as you're willing to work, they're willing to have you.
So when you were a young girl, you never thought about being in the trucking industry, right? So this was kind of a recent decision in your since adulthood.
Well, actually, that's kind of, it was just a decision. Okay. But when I was a little girl, I do remember there was a road trip we had taken to Louisville, Kentucky. And the trucks on the road, my brothers and I, we always played this game, to see, well, it's just this little fun child game. But I would always think to do the arm pump and to honk at us. Of course, it drove my parents crazy because it was like, well, what are they honking at? It was always our fault. But I thought how cool it would be to be out on the road and travel the country and see things, even when I was a little girl. And at that time, I was only like 6 or 7 years old. But I never thought about it anymore after that until I ran across that classifieds ad. And then it was like, you know what? I am going to give this a shot.
So what would you say your biggest challenge is as a woman in the trucking industry? What would you say is the biggest challenge that you've faced?
Oh, goodness. Going from a female-dominated industry into a male-dominated industry, there were a lot of challenges to overcome. It wasn't like I could just have all these girls and talk shop and, talk about shopping or what we were doing that weekend or anything like that. When I got into the industry with trucking, like, okay, I have a dispatcher I report to get my load, make sure I get that load there and safely. And the responsibilities are, I'm not going to say they're the same, but they are definitely as high as the medical field. The only difference is the medical field is you're dealing with somebody's sickness, whereas with the trucking industry, you've got their lives in your hand just as well, because you've got an 80,000 ton vehicle that you are driving down the road. So in both scenarios, you've got somebody's life in your hands. But the challenge of that is just the mental part of it that I was not prepared for. And I don't think many people are prepared for that whenever they do get into this industry, because it is something you have to mentally prepare yourself to be out here on the road weeks on end or days on end by yourself, and just motivating yourself to safely and in a timely manner, and making sure everything's in one piece. So the mental aspect, and that's one of the things I try to stress to these truck driving students when I do get to go into the schools and see them. You have to prepare yourself and your family for this mental part of this, because you will get lonely. You will want to quit. You know, money's always going to look better somewhere else. But if you really want to do this, you've got to prepare yourself mentally and find that reason to be out here besides just the money. Because you can go anywhere.
That's true. So is there anything that surprised you about the industry that you didn't know before you became a driver?
Surprised me about it? The surprise was the fact that if you just focused and did what you were told to do, hacking or how to handle the job, it really wasn't that difficult. I was expecting it to be, because I was expecting it to be, oh man, it's the men's world, 5 foot nothing, gonna try and drive a truck and go all over the country and do this job and back these trailers, and knowing I've got 53 feet behind me. But just following what I was told and paying attention and asking questions and showing that I was interested in learning made all the difference in the world. And that was actually surprising to me as to how easy it was to just grasp.
So you had a good response from other drivers. I mean, are shippers often surprised when they see a woman get out of the truck?
Not always. I didn't always have a good response. There are definitely the misogynistic pigs out there that don't think that women belong here. I think that always remaining respectful and professional and showing them that I can still do it, I think it speaks volumes, but just that anybody. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had the stereotypes out there. And then I've gotten a lot of the pull up at a guard shack or shipper receiver, and they're like, there's no way you're a truck driver. You just don't fit the stereotype. You're just not, you don't have to look a certain way to be a truck driver. Anybody can be a truck driver.
Have you had any challenges as far as
yeah, I've had it.
Any equipment? Or we talk a lot about truck cab design and ergonomics, and I know you're not a very tall person, you're not short, but the challenges for women fitting in the cab of the truck are a little different than for a lot of men. The seats, the seat belts, the steps, the dash, and things like that. Have you had any frustrations with the equipment where it didn't, you'd like to see some changes?
I'd like to see some changes, no, because I believe that we in that direction as it is. There has been a really good response from the dealerships, from the people manufacturing the trucks in regards to trying to make it more body type friendly for any body type, not just a specific. Because when I first started, I definitely trained on a 379 long nose Pete. For me, good thing because my legs did not reach those pedals. And in the Pete at that of truck, those further down, whereas the seats only went so far up. And then if I raised it up to see over the dash, then I couldn't reach the pedals. So there was always that fight of trying to figure out, and that I couldn't drive a Peterbilt my first year. And so I made sure that I stayed away from those. Now, the ones that I'm seeing today, especially with Werner, buying, 39,000 trucks this year, and bringing in all these trucks, a lot of them are automatic. So it's going in that direction that anybody can drive these trucks, and you don't have to be a specific height or anything like that. So, I mean, I think the industry's doing a really good job with that.
Good. And that was you kind of answered the next question I was going to ask you, like, what changes have you seen since you started 3.5 years ago?
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of changes I've already seen. I do see more women today than I did when I first started.
That's good. That's good. Any other changes, like with the amenities at the truck stops or services, or maybe with shippers or attitudes or with the general public?
There are certain truck stops that do a good job of having a women's restroom on the same side as the truck entrance. But then, of course, you've got your older ones you run across, and you've got to walk another 50 feet across the store to even get to the bathroom. So there are some changes. I know that the newer stores are starting to have the women's side on the trucker entrance as well. And the shitting better than when I first started. The only thing is, I don't think there's ever proper shelving in the bathrooms, because we women, we've got a lot of stuff. You got your straightener, you've got your makeup, you've got, your lotions and everything that you put on after a shower, and there's just never enough shelving anywhere. And so I think that that's probably one of the improvements we could probably use. But yeah, I think that we're getting there. I think that it's slowly but surely we're getting there.
So my last question for you is, what would you tell someone outside of the industry who was thinking of becoming a professional driver? What advice would you give them?
For anybody coming into the industry?
Yes.
Anybody coming in, I think that it's definitely something that they need to talk with their families about, because this isn't just an individual decision, but this is a change of lifestyle. So they need to make sure that they have that support system back home, people they can call, people they can talk to that's going to support them and encourage. Explain, understand that, yeah, you're going to get lonely, I hear. But then there are also a lot of advantages, and try to focus more on those advantages rather than so much the negativity aspect of, being in a truck by yourself. Because there are so many different things that drivers can do out here with taking their home times in different cities and going out and experiencing different things, not to mention the different types of people you get to meet all over the country. I know I've met a lot of people that, are dear friends of mine now that I never would have met if I had stayed in Kentucky. So it's that positive set that you are going to take this as an opportunity to not just expand your horizons, but also your family's horizons. I remember thinking that I would never leave Kentucky, ever, in Colorado. But that would not have happened if I had not started driving a truck. Until I got out here and started experiencing, I think that a lot of people are terrified of the idea of leaving home, leaving that little safety net out here, and they start seeing that it's really not as bad as they have in their mind made up, that there's so many more opportunities that are just right there at their fingertips if they would just take that step.
So really it's being prepared and knowing what to expect, and doing your homework, right?
Right. Doing your homework, knowing what you're getting into, and preparing your family for that.
That's great. That's great advice. Felicia, thank you so much for being on the show today, and thanks for being a part of the image team and supportive of women in trucking. And we're going to let you get back to work, and have a great day.
All right. Thank you, Ellen.
Thanks.